Welcome back to Interview Ninja Step 49. We're continuing to use past work experience that Corbin has had and building on it to earn, learn and grow. We also talk about the high value of particular brands to project an image of quality or trust, and how influential the actual packaging and name on a product can be to getting the customer to buy that particular product or trust that particular company. The challenge you face in this modern world is that the original people with high integrity who built up the value of that brand may in fact have sold it and retired, and there are new owners, and it's for your judgment whether the new owners live up to the quality of the brand.
It's expected. Yeah, they in fact they had a line in the one that I was working on, and they said someone found something in the forest, and John Money, who's the writer, says, "Oh, I hope it's not a bench." And then the other guy goes, "Oh, we're not doing the bench this year," and the whole audience, every single time without fail, goes, "Aww." Everyone was sad to hear that the bench moment wasn't going to be included, and then in the end they pulled the bench out anyway as a surprise, like halfway through, and they do a funny bit about never being able to let go of the bench gag. But
and the audience loves it,
and the audience cheers even harder.
They feel empowered.
Yes, because the bench comes back and they suddenly think, "Oh, this is the bit that I like."
Yeah.
So,
and they would have attended it as a child. Here's the point about Panto. It's a generational thing, and it's pretty much a similar show every year, and it's been going on.
In business, customer expectations and familiarity are important factors to consider, especially at times of change. Things like brand and image can be just as valuable as a factory or an invention protected by intellectual property law. I was once asked by a Chinese company when I was over in Beijing to help them build their own global brand. I ran away fast because brand building and brand protection is a minefield. I think they will get there, just as Japan has and Korea has. So you can think of brands of products that are made in Japan and made in Korea. But can you think of one that's actually made in China, even though they make pretty well everything that's sold in America and in many other countries of the world? But what they haven't managed to do yet is build a strong Chinese brand for a car, for example.
I don't know whether it's 100 years, but it's all my life. I went to Pantos as a child.
There's 5 shows that the theatre and Bath rotates around. So there's only ever been 5 different pantomimes, but
okay,
I don't even know how many years they've been doing it. Yeah.
So it's not the same panto every year, but it's
different
each year. It's
yes. Yeah. There's always 2 people that are the same actors. The dame, who's a big man who dresses up as a woman, and then there's the jester or the joker type,
right,
who is always the same person.
Okay. So these are favourites,
and they're always in it.
In my childhood, over 70 years ago, as well as the dame and the evil threat, there was another traditional role of the hero of the story, often a prince, because these were fairy stories. The role of the prince was always for a male character, but it was always played by a good-looking girl, often in quite tight trousers. This was a leftover from over 300 years ago, when it was illegal in the UK for females to act on stage, especially during the period of Queen Elizabeth. So we can see 2 opposite forces in action: the pressure for equality for women against the power of performance ritual. It's similar for some religious roles now.
And then everyone else gets
mixed
and match.
Right.
So it's
now, and you've been involved backstage.
Yes.
But part of what I asked you to do was look at it from different points of view. So,
Yes.
and the main areas that I'd like you to talk about, and I'm going to ask you to talk to the camera about. Okay, so I'm going to sort of duck out and let you do it. But there are different aspects of the panto that I asked you to think about.
Corbin had been involved with doing music work backstage for 3 previous years at the Theatre Royal before he came to me for advice. It was great experience, but he needed to change the earn-learn dynamic. This time, I knew he was going to be there, so I gave him several areas to look out for so he could raise his awareness and learn from what was really going on. I gave him assignments to report back on, so he had a focus on the important opportunity areas. As you work yourself in any given business and role, think about how can I both earn and learn in this job, and adapt your behavior maybe while still in the job so that you earn, learn, and grow. Try it out if you have an opportunity. Next time you're taking on a job, or if you have a job at the moment, see what you can do. Raise your awareness, earn, learn, and grow.
And they were the interactions of the cast with each other and status. If you think back to Marks and Spencer's, that discussion, so that would be a nice feed-in. So the interactions of the staff with each other, who's backstage, who goes up on the stage, and what's the dynamic, how comfortable and easy is that, or is it us and them, those sorts of issues. Okay, don't answer. Yes, no, right. Next thing I asked you about was the emotional journeys that people go on who are involved in this pantomime.
You mean the characters or the actual actors?
The people who are there.
Yeah.
You may not have had time because you're so tired and so busy, but it was...
No, I was thinking about all of this stuff when I was there, because I was just sat in the wings.
That's why I'm very keen to capture it. Okay.
Yes.
So, but particularly I'm interested in the way the pantomime, the journey for the child who walks into the pantomime with their parent and the experience. So you took, my 2 grandchildren went to the pantomime on Sunday.
Yes.
It was the first pantomime they'd ever been to. One of them 6 and the other's 8, I think, or they're about that sort of age. So they'd never been to a pantomime before. So it's the emotional journey that they went on and other children who come. It's the emotional journey for the parent, the emotional journey for the grandparent. Is it the same? Is it different? Okay. And that's the audience. And then I was interested in the emotional journey during the whole production, not just an act, but the season. The panto has a number of weeks that it's on. So the emotional journey there, and anything that you think is significant from the start of the season through the delivery and then the oncoming end of the season.
Okay, so let's start with that little chunk of...
Well, and the last piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a test, but I want you to see whether you can remember these things.
Yes. I was about to say, don't overfill the plate.
Well, exactly. Yeah. But I'm deliberately testing you in a way. Okay. So the third thing is, like I like quantify. And I asked you to look at universities and how much they charged and how long the course was and how many days they worked and everything like that. So imagine you were a backer thinking of putting on, there's an empty theatre down the road.
I see potential in Corbin to be more than just a musical performer. The music industry is just like other industries in that companies and players, in this case I mean influential business people, interact with each other in a complementary way to provide added value as a group. Each business is part of a bigger value chain. A person who understands value chain analysis can see what is going on and make better decisions about who they want to work for or with, and, if they like, where is the money. Learning is about going from the familiar to the new. I'm using Corbyn's familiarity with Panto to think about the whole thing in a new way. He could even use 5W2H as part of his information gathering and subsequently telling us about it.
which you can hire for £1,000 a week.
Yeah.
From October to February or whatever.
Yeah.
And so how much money are we talking about?
Okay.
It's the economics of Panto and how important it is to theatres or not.
Okay.
Bums on seats.
Yes.
How much they pay.
So can I start there and go back?
We'll not start at all because I'm going to go out of the room because I want you to talk to the camera about it.
I'll talk to the camera, but you're not going to stay in?
No, because I want you to own it.
I will own it.
Okay, now
What?
to do it, have a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're delivering a kind of mini tutorial
Mm-hmm.
to, I don't know, a French person or something,
Right.
about why Panto is important and what the experiences are and so on and so on and so on.
Yes. Okay.
So let's start. Phase one of this is I'm going to give you a piece of paper and you're going to write down, as it were, your agenda of what you're going to cover.
Sure.
In this little presentation. Okay? Now you can choose any order you like.
Yeah.
And then you'll work with the agenda. Now, what I don't want you to do when you're delivering it is be looking at the agenda all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. So I'm aware of these things from the interview that we started with. So,
Have you re-looked at any of your interview?
yes, I have had a look at those.
Fabulous. That's very, very helpful that you've done. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to make a cup of tea. Do you want a cup of tea or anything?
You have a glass of squash.
Okay. Now we know we don't trust our clocks. So where have you got tea and when?
It is 3:15 now.
Clock's pretty good.
I'm gonna...
What I'm doing here is giving Corbyn what's called a TED Talk preparation assignment. It's normally used when we're giving assignments to a group of 5 or 6 people, so it's quite a big ask for him to do it on his own. And in step 50, we'll see how he gets on. First of all, I am going to give him a bit more help.